Okay, so we've covered the admin panel. Next, I wanted to cover some of the key differences and new features of Facebook Timeline, both for users and fans that will be coming to business pages and also to admins of business pages, and how you can share content and highlight content that you post on your page. So again, Timeline is really about telling a narrative, telling the story of your business and your brand over time. That's why it's called timeline. That's why it's all about chronological order. And so for fans, there's just a lot of new features geared at the ability to control the content that they pay attention to on Facebook. Facebook is growing, and obviously there's a lot of different features and integrations, and so it's overwhelming if you really look at how many things you can pay attention to. And so they've made it a little bit easier to try and get people to be more in control of the information that they subscribe to and that they're paying attention to on Facebook. So let me show you some of those key features live. We'll just show you what it looks like. So when you're a fan and you get to a page, you will see that there's a liked button under here, under the cover photo. There's a liked button. So if you already like the page, it will say liked, and if you don't, it will say like. So you can click that. And when you hover over it, if you've noticed, there's add to lists. So as a user, as a personal Facebook user, you can now create what are called lists, and that's basically categorizing pages into groups. And this is very much like Google Plus circles. So you want to take advantage of this both as a user so that you can link, subscribe to specific types of posts by types of pages. I've added C.Miro Consulting to my social media list, and to my WordPress list. So I can add a bunch of like pages to that, and then I could subscribe to that specific and see specific feeds of what those types of pages have posted. So very powerful in terms of what kinds of content that you subscribe to. You can also, just because you like the page, by default, their activity, at least initially, will show up in your newsfeed. If you decide to uncheck that down here, you can have their activity not show up in your newsfeed. So very powerful, and users can control that. They can also unlike your page right here. This is, as a page admin, you want to tell people, hey, add me to your social media list. Would love if you added me to your WordPress list, or if you added me to your whatever list. That way you direct people and you tell them what kind of activity, what kind of posts you will be sharing on your page and why they want to pay attention to you. So be proactive in letting them know what kind of page list you want to be a part of. This is also where you can message the page, and you can also see gears here that let you control the page functions. So again, that's the liked feature and interest lists for users. And then also right below the main part of the top part of the page, you'll see when you start getting into the timeline area that there's this sort of faded button that says highlights. So by default, Facebook decides what your highlights are on the page, and that is most recent activity and also what's been most active, what's had the most activity and comments and sharing. That's what they consider a highlight. So you can also, though, as a user, go here and just see friend activity. So this is any friends of yours on your personal page. It will show what they've posted to the page. You can also see just posts by the page, and you can also then post by others. So by default, this is set to highlights, but again, this is the filter now that people, as a user of as a visitor on your page, can determine by themselves and filter your activity. Now, as a page admin, you have milestones, pin posts, and highlight posts. And this is ways to take advantage of Timeline's new features to bring attention to specific posts and activity on your page. So let's go see what milestones look like. So over here, right below your top level page, top half area, you're going to see your status box, just like you had on your old page. This is where you post activity onto your page and your status update. You can also share photos and ask a question, and then you'll also see now a milestone. So when you click on that, this gives you the opportunity to call attention to something important in your business or brand history. So a milestone is something like, a product launch, or a very special event or something that's poignant in your business history. And so you can call the event like, something like a move. A big move is considered a milestone. And you can name the event, you can set the location, when it happened, you can also tell a story about the event. So this is, again, another way to have more personality in your business and share more with your audience. You can also hide it from the newsfeed. I wouldn't recommend it. The whole point is you want more people to know about it, and it highlights information in something more than just a status update. So it's very interesting, and I definitely recommend using Milestone. You can go back in time and set your milestones on your business. So that's a very interesting feature. And then you can also choose a photo. I'd recommend always posting as many photos and visually interesting pieces onto anything that you post. So that's what milestones are. Then you can also do what is called pinning and highlighting. So when you want to feature specific content, because as you can see, the way that timeline's laid out, you're going to have posts that sort of get lost down below in the mix. So you want to, if you notice, there's a first post here has a ribbon. That's because I've pinned it. So when you click here, you're going to see at the top right of every status box, you're going to see an edit or remove button. When you click on that button, it will give you the option to pin something to the top. Since I've already pinned it, it says I unpin, so I can select to do that. When you pin it, it will pin it to the top of the page for up to 7 days. So if you have something like an event, a webinar, or anything that you want to call attention to, that you want everybody that visits your page to see first and foremost, no matter what, for the next 7 days, you can pin it to the top of your page. Recommend that you rotate this out as frequently as possible so people don't see the same thing. But if you do have a big event, definitely take advantage of pinning, because that way you make sure that people see that particular post. You can also change the date of the post here and edit and remove. You can also hide it. You can delete it. You can report or mark it as spam. So when people go onto your page, if they've posted something inappropriate, you can mark it as spam. The other way is by highlighting content. And what this does is it makes it big and spreads it across the page. So I have highlighted this post because I wanted people to see that please join us for this free webinar. And so what that does is, as you can see, it makes it really nice and big, and you can highlight that by going over here in the top right. Next to the edit or remove on the left, there's a star, and that is called highlighting. So you can highlight anything and then unhighlight it if you so choose. So great way with pinning and highlighting to feature specific, and milestones to feature specific content on your page. All right. So we've covered that, and then the liked button. So this is another new interesting feature where you can actually go to any page. You don't even have to be a fan, and you can not only see their likes, but you can also see some insider information. So these 4 buttons underneath here, the tabs, these are called the apps or tabs. You can click on the number 5 here, which will open up the remainder, which I'll share in just a moment how this all works. And you can see that there's a likes tab. So when you click on that, it will basically tell you not only how many people like the page, but you can also see some page insights. So you can see what was their most popular week. And it says it's the week when most people were talking about that page. And then you can also see what's the most popular city, where their fans are coming from, what's their most popular age group. And then you can also see a bunch of other activity here. So you can see, go back and see when did they have the most activity, what date, what did they, and then you can go back on their timeline and see what were they posting. What got them that kind of activity? And so this is a great way to do some sort of competitive analysis and analyze what your competitors are doing and what other people that are really optimizing Facebook are doing. So great way to go and take advantage of one of those new features on Facebook. All right, so the new rules. As I mentioned, Facebook has come out with new page guidelines. In that PDF that I'll be mailing to everybody after this, there is a link to the new page guidelines. I recommend everybody go check it out just so that you make sure that you're adhering to all of the new rules and you understand what they are. But those can get really tedious to read. So I wanted to just call out some of the most important ones, the ones that are, I think, that will impact you the most, because this does change things for a lot of people. So the main thing is that on that cover photo, that banner at the top of your page, you are no longer allowed to have any contact information, any calls to action like arrows pointing or saying like or share us. And you cannot have any of that on your cover image. This includes websites. So contact information, no more website URL, no more emails, no more anything other than just strict branding. So your contact info essentially now only goes in your about section. So you want to make sure and fill that out. I'll cover that in just a moment. And what they're doing essentially with this is, like I said, they're leveling the playing field, and they're making it so that people can't advertise as easily on Facebook for free. So they have made a lot of changes around Facebook advertising, and because they realize that a lot of people are using this free platform to do some really great advertising, and they're no longer wanting to just give that out for free, unfortunately. So you're going to see a lot more drive and push towards Facebook advertising at cost. They've also improved their Facebook advertising, but that's going to be in a separate webinar I'll cover in a few weeks. And I'll cover sort of the new premium ads, the reach generator feature, and some of the new ways they're letting you pay for Facebook advertising. But like I said, this is just a very interesting shift. So the most important thing is about the no contact info or calls to action on that cover image. All right, so what timeline means essentially is that because it's about telling a story and engaging people in a more sort of a narrative of your business, you need to have interesting content. We've heard content is king with relations to web marketing. It's true, and it's more so now with this new timeline, because you want to transition content out and keep it hot and fresh. It needs to be more engaging, and people need to stay interested. So timeline has made it so that you have to really come up with new and fresh stuff on your page. But that shouldn't concern most people who actually are using Facebook correctly in the first place. So again, because people have more power to control what they subscribe and pay attention to, this is really what it means with this new timeline as a page administrator. All right, so I want to talk about customizing and branding your new page. So a lot of people were concerned that they had created these great looking pages and they did all the landing pages and branded it to look like their logo and their look and feel, and now it's all gone. But it's really not, and so I wanted to just show you that you actually have 5 key areas that you want to use to customize and brand your page. So number 1 is going to be your about section, and I'll show you that in just a moment. Profile image, your cover photo, the app and tab cover images, which I'll explain in a minute, and then the custom tabs and landing pages, which, like I mentioned, are still there, just in a little different place. So the about section, this is what shows details about your business, and this is the first thing that people see. Again, this is above the fold, and so you want it to have the right information, and this is where you can actually have links. So ideally, the main link you want is to your website. So take advantage and fill this out. The type of page that you are, so when you create a page, you have the option to either be a location, like a storefront, and have an actual place that people go to, or you're a type of business that's like, you're an artist or a featured person. Or you could be a nonprofit. So there's a lot of different types of business pages that you can have, and determining, so the type of page that you are determines the type of information that they allow you to put in that about information. So it does matter what type of page you are. Take advantage. A lot of people don't even fill this out. It's really important to do that. So when you get to your page, you want to at least have some keywords. So I've selected web marketing, communications and design, consulting and training. Use some SEO, search engine optimization friendly words for your business so that people, when they're searching in Facebook, you come up. This also applies to what shows up in people's advertising column. So if you're web marketing, communications and design, you want to show up for people. And you also want a link ideally to your website or blog, wherever else on the web you are. That's your hub, and that should be your website or blog. So fill out the about section. That's where you're going to customize that. And then the other area is your profile image. So this is your thumbnail image that represents your page. This is a square, and this is what does not change. This is what you want to keep consistent for as long as possible and change very infrequently. So we're going to go ahead and show you what this looks like as well.